Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining me tonight. Good evening. Good evening. I am here just checking and making sure everything is good to go. All right. Hopefully, we don't have any technical issues um, with the internet, but I'm going to jump right in. It looks like we're doing good. Um, you're jumping on. Thank you for joining me. I cannot believe I'm going live this late, but I am. So hopefully you'll jump on with me just for a little bit. It's been a while. I don't go live as often as I should, but hopefully we can change that as we prepare to move forward. All right. So if you're jumping on, just drop me a note in the comment section and just say hi so I can see that you are here with me. I will try to look at my comments on my phone, but I'm live on YouTube and also live on Facebook. So let's just go ahead and get started so we're not here all night. If you've noticed the description for this live, you may have seen the topic that we are going to jump into tonight. And the purpose for this live is really just to create recognition and responsibility. I know that there are many leaders out there, spiritual leaders and individuals who are already functioning as chaplains, but without the credentials, without the knowledge or understanding, or even the preparation. And so that creates a little bit of a gap and risk. So we want to just create some recognition around that and discuss that. So again, if you're jumping on, go ahead and drop a note in the chat and let me know you are here. Let me set up my little phone here so I can see the comments. There we go. All right. Y'all pray for me because I got to get better at looking at comments while I am on a live. So now this is what I want to start off by saying. There are certain type of people. There's a certain type of person that people tend to call on when life falls apart. And this is not because you have all the answers to everything, but this is probably because you are a steady person. Like you're that reliable individual that people can call on. You're the one person that people can call on when there is good news, but also when there's bad news. So when people get a diagnosis, when people are dealing with grief, when families fall apart, when someone simply doesn't know who else they can trust. And here's the thing, many of you out there, you didn't ask for this role. Like you didn't apply for this responsibility. It just kind of found you and you just began to fill in gaps wherever you could. But here's the question that I want to ask leaders like you. Who trained you to carry what people are handing you? Like where did you get your training to be able to handle the level of responsibility that comes with providing support and care? And that's kind of what I want to dive into tonight and talk about what actually happens when responsibility shows up on our doorstep before preparation, and why that matters not only for yourself, but also for the people that you serve, right? So we'll share a couple points here. The first one being responsibility often arrives before preparation. Responsibility often arrives before preparation. So calling often comes before we're completely clear, right? People may recognize something in you before you fully understand yourself, what's in you. People trust your presence. They feel safe opening up to you. They bring unfiltered pain to you. So that means you carry stories you were never probably trained to process. You're carrying people's life stories, people's life experiences that You may not have had the training to carry that, and that does matter. There is some importance to that. Being chosen doesn't mean that we are prepared. Being chosen doesn't mean that we are fully prepared. When you look at the scripture in Luke 12 and 48, it reminds us that to whom much is given, there is just as much required. So just because people give their trust to us doesn't mean that it's completely free and clear. There is a requirement for us. There is a stewardship that we should have in those situations. So Proverbs 27 and 12 also reminds us that the prudent see danger and take refuge. So we see things that are happening not only in other individuals' lives that require spiritual care, but even when it begins to affect our own lives, we see that danger, we see that risk, we see that potential, and then we seek refuge, right? And this is something that we learn when we are going through training. Untrained care causes pressure on the caregiver. So the person who is caring for other individuals can, experience unjust pressure just because of the things that you are carrying for the other individual. There are many leaders out there who don't necessarily experience burnout because they don't care about people, but rather the very opposite. They burn out because of the care that they provide, yet without the support that is necessary to keep them grounded. So emotional weight accumulates, right? You're caring for other people, that emotional weight, it accumulates. You can find yourself having conversations in your head and replaying conversations that you've had with people over and over and over again because the emotional weight accumulates. You wonder if you said the right thing, you wonder if you said the wrong thing, and you feel a responsibility for the outcomes, even when you can't control the outcomes, right? And that's because compassion without structure creates an internal strain within inside of you. I'm reminded of Exodus 18, where we see Moses experiencing a bit of overwhelmed. He was leading faithfully, but basically he was leading alone. And I found this story so fascinating because it was his father-in-law who recognized the danger. And I'm actually going to read that scripture just because I thought this was a great example. Exodus chapter 18, verses 17 through 18. And actually, you have to go up to about verse 14, but I'm not going to read that much. It says, Moses' father-in-law replied to him, what you're doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. This work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. And just to give you just a bit of context here, Moses had the people coming to him from day in, sun up to sundown, basically with their problems, with their issues, with their conflicts. And he would have to be pretty much the judge of their situations and help them to solve their problems, basically. But he was doing this all by himself. And his father-in-law recognized the danger in this. Isn't this something? This is scripture. His father-in-law recognized the danger in him caring for all of these people alone, and told him, what you're doing, sir, is not good. You're not going to last. You're not going to be able to have longevity if you're doing this and carrying this weight all by yourself. Let this be a lesson to us that we cannot carry the load of spiritual care all alone. We have to have the proper support. And sometimes the proper support means having not only the training, but the environment of community that training brings us, especially in the field of chaplaincy and spiritual care. So chaplaincy, it exists to bring structure to sacred responsibilities. Chaplaincy is not at all about replacing ministry. Chaplaincy is ministry. It is a service, but it's not about replacing ministry. It's about stabilizing the care that we provide to other individuals. So training teaches us how to listen without fixing, right? Sometimes we listen to people's stories and we're trying to figure out, what do we need to do? How can we solve this problem? Training teaches us that every problem you may not have the solution for in that moment, right? Structure teaches us how to be present without absorbing everybody's emotion, absorbing everybody's pain, or the individual that we're helping or caring for. It teaches us how to be in the moment with the individual, but not absorb everything that they're feeling and that they're going through, right? If you don't have that skill and training, you may not know how to walk away from a situation, walk away from a crisis, and still have your right mind, still have your emotions intact. You may absorb all of that you have experienced and watched and heard. All right. So ethics teaches us how to protect the trust. When people entrust their pain to us, there is a responsibility for us to remain and to act in an ethical way. And then boundaries teach us how to last, how to have longevity in providing care, right? Structure does not limit compassion, it protects it. Some people don't like to have, I want to say rules and regulations, but I'll say process and policies and systems in place. Some people are afraid of that. But the truth of the matter is, structure helps us to maintain our compassion, not limit it. It allows us to continue to flow with care and with love because there is a structure in place. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 reminds us to guard our heart, not to make our hearts indispensable, but to guard our heart. Why? Because from it flows the issues of life. And that is why structure is so important. And then also we see in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, where it talks about having a sound mind. And that's where we find being able to last, having boundaries that will allow us to serve and to care for a long time or for a long period of time. And that requires us to have a sound mind. So competence creates confidence. Some people, although they're caring for individuals by default, not by training, not by hire, but by default, sometimes we don't have the confidence we need simply because we are not necessarily competent. We haven't had the level of training that is necessary to be effective in what we're doing. I want to bring up one of our students shared with us, a student from one of our cohorts for the chaplaincy certification, was letting us know that before the training, she was one of those individuals who people constantly would call on for help, especially in times of crisis. But she carried the weight long after the conversation. So when she would get involved with individuals in need, she would continue to pick up and carry their weight because she didn't know how to let it go. She didn't know how to release it. But through the chaplaincy training, she was able to learn how to stay present with individuals without taking responsibility for the outcome, because at the end of the day, she could not control the outcomes. And so she was able to learn how to walk away with her peace of mind. She didn't stop caring for people as a result, or she didn't get into a state of being burnt out. What she did was she stopped carrying what wasn't hers to carry in the first place, right? So what I want to do is I want to acknowledge you if you are already being trusted by other people with their grief, with their traumas, with their crisis. This is not accidental, right? The responsibility that you have deserves the proper amount of support that is needed for you to continue on. So I want to invite you to apply and enroll into our next cohort for the chaplaincy training and certification program. And let me just say, we had a number of students who wanted to get in our last cohort for the winter program, but they didn't make it by the deadline. And so we decided to open up a spring cohort. So if you were one of those people who missed the deadline, or if you're just stopping by and you've heard of this, you're hearing about this program for the first time, I encourage you, I invite you into the Life Training Academy chaplaincy training and certification program, which begins on March the 23rd, 2026. You can go ahead and apply. I believe the QR code is on the screen. The website's on the screen. You can apply and enroll into that program so that you can get the training and support you need to continue to provide excellent spiritual care to those who are around you. I'm excited. I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, may God bless you. Stay encouraged.